I think many of the people who work on the programme don't really think about the ginormous popularity and the wide circulation of the show, because really we make for the home market. We're delighted with our home market success. I mean, obviously our worldwide success is very nice too, but principally we're aiming the show for the home market. So I don't think we think too much about the success abroad. At least we try not to, in case it might turn our heads or something. But I remember Sylvester having a long chat with him before he took on the part, and my explaining to him the amount of public relations work and personal appearance work that was involved. You know, it isn't just playing a part, it's also kind of carrying that role, you know, right through your life. You take on a responsibility. You become, you know, a sort of Christ figure almost in the eyes of the very young. So with it, as I say, there are tremendous responsibilities. And I did talk at length about the worldwide popularity, but he still can't get over the fact that on the Monday that he got the job and we announced it to the press, that 3 days later he was appearing over here in Atlanta. For the first time in his life he was over here in America. Inevitably playing the part of the Doctor results in a kind of instant knowledge, if you like. There isn't a single person, I wouldn't think, in the whole of the United Kingdom who doesn't know what Doctor Who is. So, you know, in a way there's a sort of responsibility there too. And I think everybody throughout the UK has a favourite Doctor. Everybody's watched it at some point. And it's perhaps another of the beauties of the show, in that everybody has an opinion about it. You can stop anyone in the street and say, you know, who's your favourite Doctor on Doctor Who, and they'll give you an answer. It's been with us for so long. It's very, very much a British tradition, and I feel very proud to have been associated with it for such a long time. Well, obviously, there's a tremendous responsibility for whoever is cast to play the part. Number one, we're obviously looking for somebody who's a good actor. But number two, we're looking for somebody who's, if you like, a sort of personality performer. Because I think all of the actors who've played the Doctor over the years have brought an awful lot of themselves to the role. So those are the two main things. And obviously, in recent months, when we were looking for the Doctor that became Sylvester McCoy, we were looking for a kind of inbuilt eccentricity, and I think we've most definitely found that. Well, I think the other governing factor when casting a new Doctor is that it would be very foolish to attempt to cast very similar Doctors back to back. So that when Tom Baker decided to leave, for example, we wanted to cast somebody who looked and was physically and emotionally very, very different. So it's almost a case of opposites, you know. Tom had curly hair, so we wanted someone with straight hair. Tom was a certain age, and we wanted somebody who was younger. Tom was a very confident Doctor, so we wanted somebody who was heroic but slightly more vulnerable, and so on. And it's just really a list of adjectives combined with the abilities I've mentioned earlier that help one make the selection. I first got involved with Doctor Who in 1968, or maybe even 69, I think. I was working as a floor assistant, which is the sort of lowest of the low in production terms. Basically somebody who knocks on dressing room doors and gets people on the set at the right time. And I worked on one of the Patrick Troughton stories called The Space Pirates, I think it was called. And then I worked again on the show in the early 70s, once again as floor assistant with John Pertwee. 2 adventures I did with him. And then in 1979, 77, I came to the show full-time as production unit manager, now called production associate. And I did that for 3 years, and then became producer in November of 79. Well, my job description says that I have the ultimate responsibility for a strand of programs, i.e. Doctor Who, artistically, editorially, and financially. Now, on the artistic front, obviously I engage directors to take more of the artistic responsibility per story, and I have a script editor to assist on the editorial side, and a production associate to assist on the financial side. But ultimately, I suppose that the buck stops here. I think when considering one's favourite adventures of a television programme that you're working on, it's incredibly difficult, because really it should be other people who are saying that my favourite adventure is so-and-so, because one can't really help but think about the kind of backstage aspects of every production. But I suppose if forced to make a favourite, I think it would probably have to be the Five Doctors anniversary show that we did in 1983. We're now in the process of starting to plan the next season of Doctor Who, which will be our silver anniversary season, our 25th season. It'll be made up of 14 episodes, broken down once again into 2 4-part stories and 2 3-part stories. It will star yet again Sylvester McCoy, and it will feature a new assistant, an actress called Sophie Aldred, will play the new girl companion who's called Ace. Ace isn't her real name, but that's how she's known. And we will start shooting that at the end of March 1988 for, once again, we hope, an autumn transmission. As far as I'm personally concerned, I intend that to be my swan song. The 25th season is a great landmark in the show's history, and I shall be delighted to have produced that season, but then I shall be moving on to a brand new project which I've devised myself once again for the BBC.